Welcome back, everybody. For many children, summer can mean sleeping in more, vacations, and time away, of course, from the classroom. But for kids in foster care, that break from school can also mean losing daily access to trusted adults and important support systems. That is where the court-appointed special advocates, better known as CASA, volunteers can really step in and help. So joining us today to talk more about that is Senior Recruitment Specialist Wendy Morse with CASA of Travis County. So Wendy, welcome back to our show and thanks for being with us again.
Thank you for having us again.
I think it's always good to start this conversation by, someone might hear of CASA or have a general idea of what it is, but for those who might be unfamiliar with what you all do, can you just explain that work?
Absolutely. So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. So what we do is we train members of the community to serve as CASA volunteers for children who have experienced abuse and neglect or who are involved in the child welfare system. So we recruit, screen, and train volunteers. Those volunteers are matched to a single case, a child or a small sibling group, and they follow those kids as they move through the child welfare system and fill that gap and ensure that those children have a constant beside them.
I want to ask you in just a moment about if somebody would like to get involved with you all, so we'll save that for a moment. But for kids out there that and people that think, summer is a carefree time for children here in our area, why can it actually be one of the more difficult seasons for children in foster care or who have experienced that kind of trauma?
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. School provides children a constant, a place to go every day, familiarity, more safe adults to check in with. And so for children who are outside of school for the summer, especially children who are in foster care, it can feel even more isolating than a child would be feeling in general when they're already in foster care and away from their families. Plus, families also have a lot less support often. Finding childcare can be a real concern for the families that we work with, things like that. And so having extra help from the community like a CASA volunteer that can be the constant for a child, check in with them, but also ensure that our families are connected to those resources that provide them that support and stability that they need so badly.
That word constant is what I want to focus on now. So why, again, is that so important to have that constant presence from that CASA volunteer who's assigned to one of these children?
For so many reasons. Children need connection. Connection is one of the things that research shows build resiliency in children, especially children who have come from hard places or experienced trauma. So having a person who follows up with them and is that connection can be huge. Plus, these children often are removed not just from their parents, but from their neighborhoods, their schools, everything that's familiar. Many children in foster care experience multiple moves. So having their constant, their CASA volunteer who goes wherever they go and continues to check in with them. And then also, we fill the gap in a system that is overburdened. And so being able to get to know these children and ensure that their needs are met, that they get the therapy that they need, that they have the child care that they need, all of that together is what really helps CASA be so impactful in the lives of these children.
To give people a better sense about what it actually means to be one of these volunteers and to be with your organization, can you just walk them through and help them understand about some of the things that they may be responsible for if they should be a part of the organization? Absolutely.
So number one, it's you become the expert on the child. So our volunteers visit with the children in person at least once a month. They're allowed to take them on outings or visit them at their placement or at school during school. In addition to that, they're also collecting information from every aspect of the child's life. So we will talk with teachers, with placement, parents, family, really just getting as much information as we can about who these children are, what their needs are. And then we go into court, our volunteers go into court and tell the judge, here's who this child is, here's what you need to know about them. And it really allows the judge to have the full story before they make a decision. So judges feel like they're making the decisions for these children with a lot of knowledge about who each individual child is and what their needs are.
And I would imagine it would also be a little scary at times for those kids to speak up in court.
Absolutely, yeah. Children are given the opportunity to talk to the judge if they feel so inclined, but that can be scary. We also, try not to put kids through more trauma than they need to, so they're given
Sure.
the choice about whether they want to come to court or not.
Yeah.
And the reality is sometimes what a child wants is not always what's best for them. And so CASA's job is to speak to the best interest of the children, which is sometimes different than what a child wants. It can be just as important in cases where abuse and neglect is an issue.
What kind of need is there now for volunteers? I would imagine that it exists for you all to have some more people come on board. So what does that look like exactly?
As of today, we have over 100 children waiting for volunteers. So we work with 100% of the children that come into the system in Travis County. Those children are currently being served, but they're being served by our staff waiting for an advocate. So we have a huge need right now. I actually have an info session this Saturday at Trianon Coffee in Bee Cave at 9:30 in the morning, but I offer them virtually every week. So it's really easy to become a volunteer if people are ready.
I know you just shared the details about what's coming up this weekend, but if somebody has further questions about where they should go to look into volunteering for you all, what should they do?
Go to our website, it's casatravis.org. There's a tab at the top that says volunteer, click on that tab. There's a quick little form that they'll fill out. It comes directly to me. My name's Wendy. I will email them right back, send them a link to see upcoming info sessions and also a link to just book a one-on-one call with me if they want to get some more information.
Well, hopefully that's a call to action for somebody out there who's watching this right now. But Wendy Morse with CASA of Travis County, thank you for joining us once again to talk more about this, and hopefully this leads to some more help for kids out there.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks again.